Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be looking at some posts from r/AmITheButthole. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, then stick around and enjoy. So starting off strong with, am I the butthole for asking my pregnant colleague if she's having a boy or a girl? Today, at our weekly team meeting, one of my colleagues announced that she is pregnant and will be going on maternity leave in April. Everyone reacted with congratulations and excitement for her, and I did too. We all told her we're very happy for her and her family and wish her all the best. A few minutes later, I was in the elevator with her and 3 of our other team members. So, 5 of us out of a total team of 11 people. On our way back to our desk, just for the sake of conversation, I asked her if she is having a boy or a girl. Her face kind of fell and she grimly and shortly said, "Boy." I thought it was strange that she reacted like this, but I let it go. Then, after I was back at my desk, she came back up to me and said that my question was inappropriate and that she was planning on announcing the gender herself, but I forced her to say it like that in an elevator. So now half of our team knows, and it killed the magic. I was honestly really confused and apologised profusely. She lectured me on how I shouldn't be asking personal questions and walked away. She could have just said, "I'm not telling anyone." Like, why is it a big deal? She could have just said, "Oh, actually, we're keeping it a secret for now. But, as soon as we're ready, you guys will all know." Like, how hard is that? That was really easy, you see? See, words are easy. I honestly couldn't have thought that this was in any way a personal question. Is it too personal? I'm a 24-year-old dude and I don't really know anything about pregnant women or babies or social customs, I guess. I was just trying to be friendly. Am I the butthole? No, I don't believe you are. I really don't. You asked an innocent question and she could have just said, "Oh, we're not telling people right now." See how easy that was? So, down in the comments, WinterFox1994 says, "Not the butthole. Gender announcement and reveals are only special to the person announcing it, and I feel they've gotten out of hand. Quite frankly, she could have just said, 'I'll wait to announce that myself to everyone if you don't mind,' but she decided to be petty as fuck about it, and her being pregnant and hormones isn't an excuse to deflect bad behaviour onto you. Someone who was being kind, asking questions. Don't bother getting her a gift." And then someone else says, "Gender reveal stuff is pretty ridiculous. Oh no, we can't ruin this surprise," when the reality is that no one else really cares anyway. Yeah, exactly. No one cares. They're just being polite and trying to show an interest, to be sociable and act like they're interested in you. Like, I don't think they'll be making that mistake again. And then WinterFox1994 says, "Not to mention the people who've passed away from the cannons or all the wildlife and the microplastics they leave behind. No one else cares that much. It should be an intimate moment, but everyone tries to one-up each other about them on social media. I don't even enjoy baby showers much either, but I don't mind them. I would, however, have it be more of a family and friends event if I had one and not just girls. I don't enjoy all the games, etc. They are always the same every baby shower and it's very repetitive, and my social anxiety hates it when they want to play something like charades. No, thank you." Yeah, I totally agree. Am I the butthole for stepping up when my little sister got her period? So I, 14F, and my little sister, 12, have never been close. Classic sibling relationship. My mum and dad recently divorced and now my mum works a lot. Since then, me and my sister, let's call her Ali, grew close. We started talking more and more, hanging out, and have a real relationship. So last night around 8 p.m, Ali comes into my room in tears. I could instantly tell something was off, so I asked and she said, "I think I started my period." Oh god, the horror of that moment. I remember it to this day, and I'm an old ass bitch. I comforted her and told her it was going to be alright and all that jazz. I show her how to use a pad, and after that I got her some hot cocoa and sat on the couch to explain all of my big sister knowledge about periods and stuff. Aw, bless. I didn't go into full detail because I wanted to respect my mum, but I didn't want Ali to feel clueless. After that, I DoorDashed us some Taco Bell and we watched cheesy Hallmark movies. My mum got home around 10 and I told her what happened and she went crazy. What? She said I was overstepping and I should have called her and not have told Ali anything, but just gave her a pad. What? Oh yeah, let's leave this poor child panicking. until you get home from work. No. She said I was ignoring her feelings and being ignorant, that it was her job as a mother to explain everything to Ali, and I tried to tell her I only said the basics, but she just sent me to my room. I feel awful, and I'm wondering, am I the butthole? No, not one bit. For a start, your mum should be very, very grateful that you've stepped in and took over and took control of the situation, made your sister feel happy and comfortable and knowledgeable about what is happening to her body, which when it happens, and it's never happened before, is the most horrifying thing. If you're not clued up enough. And even if you are, it's still scary as all anything. Your mum is being an absolute horror. Absolutely not. In fact, it should never have been your job to have done it in the first place, because your mum should have educated your sister enough to be prepared enough to not have an absolute blind panic. So in the comments, Sausage Mice, what a username, says, not the butthole. Hey, big sis, you're doing a wonderful job. Your little sister is reliant on you for experiences you've already had, meaning you've grown close enough to her to be her safe space. Your mother should have been proud of you for doing that, because us internet strangers are. Keep your head up, OP. P.S. When I got my first period, I had period poops and I told my mum I had split my butt in half. And I won't stop bleeding from there. Oh, bless you. She told me to stuff wads of tissue and wait for it to pass the next day. I woke up to a small puddle on my bed in the morning and the dread that my butthole was broken beyond repair. Oh, point of the story is that not all mums are fantastic at breaking the news of the monthly pains. I'd much rather have an older sister who sat me down for hot chocolate and taught me what's to come. Edit. Whoa, thanks for the upvotes and awards. Yeah, I mean, spot on. Not a lot I can add to that comment. That was spot on. I tell you what, though, I'm not going to get that mental imagery out my head for a while. Thanks a lot, Sausage Mice. And then somebody else whose username I cannot pronounce replied, oh my god, same, except I thought I was shiting myself every time I farted because diarrhea cramps were the only thing I knew of at the time. So we all basically had the same experience is what I'm establishing from this. Then Nerdy Hot Mess replied, lol, literally the first time I had cramps from needing to poop, my dad thought I might be getting my period and called my mum in a panic. Oh, bless him. I was 9. I didn't get my period till I was 13. I was also a competitive gymnast, so might have been part of it, but I still remember lying on the couch holding my stomach and my dad low-key freaking out. Oh, bless him. His heart was in the right place, hey. So, next post, am I the butthole for refusing to hand over my grandmother's jewellery to my cousin who was promised it first? My grandmother passed away last year. She left me, 24F, a beautiful jewellery collection in her will. Growing up, I was very close to her and we spent countless weekends together where she would let me try on her pieces. It always felt like our little thing, so when she left them to me, I was deeply touched. Here's where it gets complicated. My cousin, 28F, let's call her Emma, insists that my grandmother verbally promised her the collection years ago. Tough shit, Emma, if it's in the will. Oh well. Even though there's no mention of her in the will. Emma claims that the jewellery is hers by right because she was the oldest grandchild and used to model the pieces during family events when she was younger. She even told everyone that my grandmother's decision must have been a mistake or made under pressure. So she's implying that you put the squeezes on your grandmother, I'm guessing, when she was not quite in her right mind to give you the jewellery? I mean, again, burden of proof is on Emma, I suppose. Emma called me last week, demanding I hand the jewellery over to honour what she says was my grandmother's real wish. When I said no, she called me selfish, accused me of stealing what was meant for her. The family is now divided, with some saying I should give Emma the few jewellery pieces to keep the peace, and others telling me to hold my ground because this will was clear. Emma is now posting passive-aggressive messages on social media, making me out to be the villain. I feel terrible because I don't want to cause family drama, but I also believe that my grandmother knew exactly what she was doing when she left the collection to me. Am I the butthole? No, I don't think so. At the end of the day, the burden of proof is on Emma to prove that your grandmother wasn't in the right mind or was put pressure on in the will. Otherwise, there is a legal documentation there saying exactly where your grandmother wanted the jewellery to go, and it certainly was not to Emma, so tough luck, Emma. Would it be nice of you to give Emma maybe one or two pieces of the jewellery? Of course it would. But when she's accused you of basically doing something very untoward to get your name on the will, I think the chances of that have gone flat out the window, really, haven't they? So, down in the comments, AO says, not the butthole. It sounds like your cousin is trying to scam you out of it, since her only excuse is that she verbally promised it to her. Yeah, exactly. Your grandmother left it to you in her will, which would have taken at least a bit of consideration. So, even if she did promise it to her years prior, she still ultimately decided to give it to you. And then OP replies saying, that's how I see it too. My grandmother had plenty of time to think about her decision, and she clearly chose to leave it to me in writing. It feels unfair that my cousin is trying to rewrite history now. And then Antique Wafer 8605 replies saying, she may have made that promise years ago, but she changed her mind. But she specifically made sure it was in her will who gets them. They're all yours. I've just seen the title of this, and I just have a very icky feeling already, but I'm going to read the post because I might be wrong. But I have already got a thought onto what this person is like just from reading this. Am I the butthole for telling a young adult to sit down in a nice restaurant? My wife and I were out to dinner at a nice restaurant. Not like the suit and tie nice, but not blue jeans and a t-shirt casual either. At the table beside us was a younger couple. If I had to guess, late teens, early 20s. The girl kept standing up. I'm sure it's a nervous thing or something like that, but she would literally stand by our table, kind of lording over us while talking to her boyfriend. She even did it while she was eating. My wife was clearly annoyed by it, and I decided I'd had enough. I said to her, if you're going to go to an adult restaurant, you need to sit down and act like an adult. The boyfriend mouthed something that I completely ignored, but the girlfriend sat her ass down and then they left. Now I have my thoughts, but I'm going to read the comments first to see if the commenters agree with me or disagree with me. So, OKDouble7982 says, in that manner, yes, it was rude. I would have just led with, would you mind please sitting down or not hovering over our table so that we can enjoy our space without being crowded? And then I'm not sure how to pronounce the next username, but they say, this is the one, absolutely right to say something. It just didn't have to be condescending. And then we were once warriors, that really was a struggle to say, by the way, says, but how could OP feel superior without being condescending and demeaning to her? Exactly. This is what I was hoping somebody else would pick up on. I think it's absolutely fine to say, hey, could you please not be hanging over my table while I'm trying to eat? Because I don't like that. I don't know why she was getting up and down out of her seat. There could be lots of reasons. She could have been mentally impaired. She could have been somebody who has something like Tourette's or OCD that means that they'll do these things almost involuntarily, like they're aware they're doing them, they don't want to do them, but it happens anyway. They could have just been being a pain in the ass. You don't know the reason, so you should never be rude about it. But it's the way they were like, oh, a nice restaurant. Oh, if you're going to come to an adult place, act like one. You know, adults can have problems too. Not just kids. But yeah, it's absolutely fine to say, hey, can you not be hovering over my table while I'm eating? I don't like this. Totally cool. All you'd have to say is like, oh, would it be okay if you could not stand over our table, please? I just get really uncomfortable when I feel like someone's in my personal space and I really don't like it. Sorry to like be a pain, but could you not? There's polite ways to do it. You know, you've got to be very sort of tactical with the way you approach things like that, because otherwise you just come across as an absolute prick. Next post, am I the butthole for expecting not to have to pay for Thanksgiving groceries? I have never posted here before, so my apologies if I make any mistakes. I, 54F, have been invited by a friend, 50F, who I will call Anne, to come to her house for Thanksgiving. We all live in Italy, but spent many years in the USA, and have several American friends in the area. Anne heard that I make a traditional Thanksgiving dinner at my house every year for my family and a couple of friends, 6 people total. It is quite difficult to get all of the supplies here, no buying canned pumpkin or cranberry sauce, so I make every single thing from scratch. Over the years, I've also acquired all the dishes and tools and spices. I know suppliers for the more exotic things, and I'm all around a good cook. So, Anne, who was born in China but lived in the USA for 20 plus years, asked if I could come to her beautiful and much bigger home and teach her how to make the whole dinner. For a group of 12 people instead of the usual 6. I was hesitant at first because we live in a very modest lifestyle, and Anne and her British husband are very well off, but I figured it would still be fun, and I would enjoy putting on the feast for new people in a new kitchen. Yeah, I mean, I love cooking. Love it, love it. So having a massive kitchen in a big old house, I'd be in my element. After I agreed, the problems began. First, Anne wanted to have the dinner on a day that isn't Thanksgiving to make it more convenient. I decided it wasn't all that important since we live in Italy, so it's scheduled for the Sunday prior to the actual day. Then, when we were planning to meet to go shopping for all the ingredients, she asked if I could do all the shopping and she would reimburse me for her half. I asked what she meant and she said that I'd be paying half for everything. Hold on, but she wants you to teach her how to cook it? Why should you pay half? So, not only would I be doing all the shopping, all the planning, all the cooking, and teaching her as well, but now I'm expected to pay for the food. I told her I could not do this, and we don't really have the budget, so now she's trying to alter the menu she agreed to: turkey and fixings, candied yams, roasted veggies, and an appetizer and pie. Really, a modest dinner by American standards. She then made a comment that her friends don't eat like pigs. You absolute mare! That's not a nice thing to say, implying that you and your mates eat like pigs. Rude. She then went to another guest with my recipes and asked her to prepare the pumpkin pie so she didn't have to buy the ingredients. And what are you playing at? You're loaded by the ingredients, you absolute cheapskate. What the hell? Bear in mind, Anne and her husband are very wealthy. I'd estimate the whole dinner for 12 might cost $200 for ingredients. And my labour Anne gets for free. Exactly. Anne. Ebenezer Anne. She thinks I'm being stubborn and undergenerous, i.e. an a-hole. My family thinks Anne is taking advantage of my kindness and her miserly way. Literally, I just called her Ebenezer Anne. I swear I didn't even read that. That's so funny. That's just made me laugh. And her miserly ways are ridiculous, since she'd spend double that amount for lunch on a whim. Exactly. I think Anne is just being completely cheeky. So rude to expect that. So, am I the butthole for refusing to contribute to the meal or be bullied into this nonsense? My family wants me to just bow out and tell her I'm not comfortable with their attitude. I agree. I agree with your family. I'm tempted because I feel this is toxic and manipulative. That's because it is. The audacity and entitlement is rife with this one. Edit to update. I hope this is permitted. I did cancel this entirely, and thank you everyone for your kind advice and encouragement. We will be having dinner at home instead. I am so happy that you cancelled. Anne is taking the absolute piss. She does not deserve for you to put all that effort in to teach her how to cook it. And let's be realistic, I highly doubt that she would have been even there helping. She probably says, oh, I want you to teach me how to do it. And then she would actually just wanted you to stand there and do it all by yourself. And then down in the comments, the first comment says, not the butthole. Sounds like she just wants you to pay and make the meal for her and her friends. Exactly. She has most definitely taken advantage of your kindness and probably just wants you to cook for her. I wouldn't make the meal or pay for it if I were you. And then the OP replied to that comment saying, I absolutely won't be paying for a single thing. I don't expect to be paid for my time, as my family will be there too, 4 of us in total, so I was willing to make the meal. Oh, okay, so yeah, if she'd have said, I'll buy the ingredients, you make the meal, so then we've both played an equal part in this, because obviously your family's there as well, I think that would have been totally fair. But I'm expected to pay for the privilege of planning and cooking a meal for 12. That seems ridiculous to me. My family is aghast at the nerve of her asking me to buy half of the ingredients, to be honest. I just wanted to ask outside opinions on if I'm being an a-hole, since we'd be there eating the meal also. Okay, so on that note, I think we'll leave it there for today. If you've made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate you, and I would really appreciate you if you could leave me a like, even subscribe so you can find me again, because I do post videos every single day. Other than that, I'm going to get off. I'm going to go and get something very hot to drink because it is freezing, absolutely freezing today. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Goodbye.